They bought a stadium to build a legacy. What they found buried beneath was something no one expected. Alright, Wrexham fans, if you love the Red Dragons like I do, smash that subscribe button and let's dive into this absolute mess that's been unfolding at the Rock. In August, Wrexham AFC made headlines with what seemed like brilliant news. They'd purchased the Rock Stadium in Wrexham as a permanent home for the women's team. Reynolds and Rob McElhenney were building something special, giving Wrexham women their own fortress. A significant milestone, they called it. But here's what nobody told you in those celebratory announcements. The moment they got the keys, everything changed. Major structural issues, power failures, a pitch that was falling apart, floodlights that barely worked. This wasn't just a stadium needing a lick of paint, this was a facility on the brink of collapse. And whilst the men's side are battling in the championship, chasing promotion dreams at the racecourse, Wrexham women have been homeless, playing every single match this season away from their supposed home ground. The fans left wondering, what on earth did we actually buy? This isn't just about a women's team needing somewhere to play. This is about Wrexham's commitment to growing the entire club, about whether the Hollywood dream extends to every corner of this historic institution. Because right now, Jenny Sugarman's side are sitting second in the Adran Premier, fighting for glory without a home to call their own. But to understand how we ended up here, we need to go back to last summer. The Rock Stadium sits in Wrexham, just outside Wrexham. A 3,000 capacity ground with a 512-seater stand and famously a sheer rock wall on one side from the disused quarry it's built next to. Proper character, proper Welsh football venue. Since summer 2023, Wrexham women had been using the Rock as their base, sharing it with Cefn Druids. The atmosphere was growing, the team was improving, and when August 2024 rolled around, the club made it official. They were buying the place outright. Chief Executive Michael Williamson stood there talking about top-tier facilities, about inspiring the next generation of women's football across North Wales, about protecting a community asset. On paper, it was perfect. Close to the racecourse, giving the women's side flexibility to train locally whilst having access to bigger venues when needed. Behind the closed doors, though, due diligence was either rushed or the problems were hidden far better than anyone realized. Because within days of completing the purchase, the maintenance team walked into an absolute nightmare. The power supply? Unreliable at best, dangerous at worst. The floodlights they'd been told were functional, barely fit for purpose, and the power issues made them upgrading a logistical headache. The pitch itself, the very surface these players were meant to compete on, had regressed so badly over recent seasons that high-impact areas around the goalmouths were essentially unplayable. Now, Wrexham weren't going to just slap a plaster on this and hope for the best. Not with the Football Association of Wales certifications hanging over their heads, not with a women's team battling at the top of the Adran Premier. So, whilst Reynolds and Mac's Hollywood story was capturing hearts globally through the Welcome to Wrexham documentary, behind the scenes at the Rock, it was hard hats and electricians. The club made the call, no matches at the Rock until every issue was sorted to a high standard. Safety first, standards first, even if it meant the women's team became nomads for months.
Here's where it gets proper complicated. Renovating goalmouth areas sounds simple enough, doesn't it? Dig up the damaged turf, lay down fresh grass, job done. Except the club hit a wall, literally. They needed to procure matching surface material to stitch into the existing pitch, and finding that exact specification nearly impossible. Weeks turned into months. Every delay meant another fixture played away from home. Every week, fans were asking the same question: when are the women coming home? The electrical work became a saga of its own. The initial power issues at the venue meant upgrading those floodlights wasn't just about bolting in new bulbs. They had to rewire significant portions of the infrastructure. The kind of work that uncovers more problems the deeper you dig. Emergency lighting needed upgrading. The stand required minor renovations that became not so minor once they started peeling back the layers. Internal rooms had to be completely cleared out to allow the next phase of development, whatever that might be. And through all of this, Wrexham women kept winning, kept fighting, kept sitting second in the table behind Cardiff, dreaming of silverware, doing it all without the fortress they had been promised. Could the club have walked away from the purchase once they discovered the issues? Legally, maybe, but that's not what Wrexham does. This is a club that's been through administration, through heartbreak, through the non-league wilderness. They don't abandon projects, they see them through. What would you have done? Buy a facility knowing it might take months to fix, or leave the women's team without a permanent home indefinitely? The Wrexham faithful, as always, were divided but understanding. On social media, you saw frustration. How do we not know about this before buying? Mixed with support, at least they're doing it properly, not cutting corners. Local media, particularly the Leader, covered every update, every delay. The story became less about what went wrong and more about Wrexham's commitment to putting it right. BBC Wales picked it up too, framing it within the broader narrative of Reynolds and Mac's ownership, the glamour of Hollywood meeting the gritty reality of lower league infrastructure. For Jenny Sugarman and her squad, credit where it's due. Not once did they publicly complain, not once did they use the stadium situation as an excuse. They just kept playing, kept grafting, kept representing Wrexham with pride at borrowed grounds across Wales. Behind the scenes, though, you could sense the impatience. Players train better when they have a consistent base. Fans bond with teams better when there's a home to rally behind. Every week without the Rock operational was another week of lost connection, lost routine. The club issued a statement acknowledging it all. While we would have hoped for the women's first team to return to the Rock at an earlier date, it has been important to ensure that all work was done to a high standard as part of our long-term commitment. Translation: we messed up the timing, but we're not messing up the job. This story matters for three massive reasons. First, it's a reality check for the Hollywood fairy tale. Reynolds and Mac have transformed Wrexham, National League champions in 2023, League Two champions in 2024, now competing in the Championship. The documentaries brought global attention. The investment's been extraordinary, but infrastructure problems don't care about celebrity ownership. Stadiums don't fix themselves because you're famous. This is proper football club ownership. The unglamorous, expensive, frustrating bits that don't make Netflix highlights. Second, it's a test of Wrexham's commitment to the women's game. Plenty of clubs talk about investing in women's football. Wrexham's putting serious money where their mouth is, even when it's costing far more than expected. They could have bodged the repairs, got the team back playing quicker, saved a fortune. They didn't. That tells you something about where this club is headed. Third, and this is what keeps me hopeful, the final pieces are falling into place. Wi-Fi installed, new telephone lines in, pitch certification achieved, FAW certification secured. The floodlights are having their final test this week. Wrexham women could be home for their next league match against Swansea. After months of waiting, the Rock's almost ready to roar again. This reminds me of Wrexham's entire journey these past few years. Nothing's been straightforward. Every triumph's been earned through graft and determination. From nearly going extinct to Hollywood ownership to back-to-back promotions to the Championship, this club doesn't do easy. The women's team deserves their moment at a proper home. And when that first match finally happens at a fully operational Rock, it'll mean something deeper than just 3 points. At the end of the day, this is what being a Wrexham supporter is all about. The setbacks, the unexpected challenges, the refusal to take shortcuts even when it's tempting. From the racecourse to the rock, from non-league obscurity to the championship, this club does things properly or not at all. Wrexham women are coming home soon, and when they do, it'll be to a stadium built to last, built with pride, built the Wrexham way. Let me know in the comments, were you surprised by the scale of these issues? Hit like if you're backing Wrexham women to make the Rock a fortress this season, and I'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Reds!